Welcome to the Rewire4Success podcast. I am your host, Katie Johnson, and this is a podcast created for women who are on a mindset, health, and healing journey, a path to wellness, self-discovery, self-respect, self-validation, and self-love. If you enjoy this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future episode. And if you know someone who you think could benefit from the things you're hearing, please share it so others can be able to make breakthroughs in these areas of life as well. I am so excited for today. I have been looking forward to this day for a very, very long time. This is officially episode number 1 of the Rewire4Success podcast. Today, I'm going to start with, why did I decide to start a podcast? And where did the name Rewire4Success come from? And then we're going to go into a basic introduction to understanding how you can learn to create any changes in your life that you want to. All right, first, so why did I start this podcast? Because mindset, health, and healing, and so many topics all connected to these things are near and dear to my heart. I have personally gone through many things in my life, such as obesity, self-loathing, depression, relationship betrayal, a long-term toxic and abusive relationship that caused immense psychological damage, anxiety, cognitive dissonance, identity loss, divorce, and more. And these were all so difficult. I wasn't sure how I was going to find my way out. And when you fought tooth and nail to figure out your life, why and how these things were happening and how to get out of them, how to grow from them, and then thrive as a result of them, you want to share these things with other people. It becomes not just, I should share about this, but a responsibility to share, because you know if you don't, you're not living your purpose. Pain is meaningless without the incredible amounts of wisdom that can only come from experiencing it. And when you know that by sharing that wisdom, you could shorten the learning curve and save someone else from years and years of heartache or hardship, or even possibly prematurely ending their life, it becomes not a matter of if, but how and when. What else drives me is knowing that those lessons are not only going to impact that one person, but their spouse, their kids' kids, and possibly even generations to come. It's been burning in my heart for years, and now it is time. So why the name Rewire4Success? Well, my boyfriend at the time, my now fiance, Rick, came up with this name one day. He was in the middle of reading a book that I recommended to him called The Power of Neuroplasticity. And it was blowing his mind that the brain could literally be rewired simply by our own intentional thoughts, choices, environment, influences, habits, etc. So I heard it and I was like, I have to steal that. That's so good. Without a second thought, I told him that it was going to be our new business name. What began with both of us coaching with a direct sales company called Beachbody, now known as Body, and helping people by giving them tools to help them get fit and healthy and lose weight at home, has now evolved into something much bigger than that. Rewire4Success is now a podcast, a YouTube channel, a one-on-one coaching business, and content creation company to help people fully transform their lives from things like addictions, mindset barriers, obesity, depression, the effects of toxic relationships, and more, and to help them to heal and rebuild their life into an even better version of themselves than ever before. Now, what does that mean? Well, to us, success isn't about becoming a millionaire or living this life that everybody envies. It means that you are living in true alignment with yourself, your values, and you're experiencing life in a way that you want to be. So today, I want to dive into a short introductory lesson about the brain. Since everything Rick and I do is built upon the foundation of really understanding the way our brains work, it's important that we start there. When you can know more about why you feel and do the things that you do, it is absolutely empowering. You no longer have to feel like something is wrong with you or that you're broken or unfixable or hopeless to ever have something different in your life. I want to pause here and I want to encourage you to push the subscribe button because there is a lot of information to understand about the brain, way, way more than I can cover in just this one podcast. And as we go on and I record more podcasts, I'm going to continue to cover different aspects about our brains that's going to be very, very, very beneficial for you. Whether you're on a mindset, a health, or a healing journey, this stuff is going to be a game changer. Okay, so first we have the logic or conscious part of our brain. This is the part that does all of the thinking, focusing, and that's actually only about 5% of our brain. The rest of our brain, that's the subconscious. It's responsible for things like keeping our heart beating, storing memories, processing emotions, keeping us safe from threats, and so on. The majority of our brain activity, 95% of it, is happening in the background. The things that we aren't in that very moment consciously aware of, but it is always running, even in our sleep. So as you're going about your day, you may think that the lens that you are experiencing the world through is reality. It's actually not. In fact, none of us are experiencing actual straight reality. The lens we are each experiencing the world through is completely biased. You aren't getting information directly from the source because if you were, everything would seem extremely bland and neutral because life itself, it's factual. Things just are. They just exist. Things just happen. But instead, what's happening for us is that information is coming into our brain through all of our 5 senses at all given moments in time. In fact, scientists say that the human body is actually sending about 11 million bits per second of information to the brain for processing. Of all of that stimulus, the conscious mind is only able to focus on about 50 to 60 bits of that information. So here you are getting all of this information, and your brain then has to filter through all of that stuff and determine what's the most important thing to be focusing on. The subconscious, in a matter of milliseconds, is processing through all of that data through the different experiences, memories, language, meanings, and lessons that you've gone through in your life. And your thoughts that are resulting are coming from the interpretation of what your subconscious then gave to your conscious to think about. Pretty crazy, right? So what does this all mean? It means that the majority of our beliefs, habits, and decisions are actually being unconsciously derived from 95% of brain activity that is happening in the subconscious. So now that might sound a little like bad news because if everything is happening in our subconscious and it's not something we have full control over, then how the hell are we going to change it, right? Well, I'm glad you asked. That is an incredible question and a very important one. To help answer that, we need to also understand what neuroplasticity is. Neuroplasticity is defined as the ability of the brain to form and reorganize synaptic connections, especially in response to learning or experience. In other words, it means our brain's neural pathways aren't fixed. They're always changing depending on what we experience in life and what thoughts we're having and what influences we allow and what choices we're making. So to put it straight, there is nothing about ourselves that we can't change if we want it bad enough and we're willing to put in the work. The human brain has the ability to be shaped and molded and grow and heal and build new connections and destroy old ones. And the best news of all, we can be our own brain programmers. We can quite literally rewire our minds for success. Now you know where the name came from. Now, back to the question about how do we do that when the majority of our brain activity is happening in our subconscious? Well, we intentionally bring the things we want to work on to our conscious mind. And sometimes this is simple. Sometimes it's just taking a pause and being reflective and being willing to self-examine. And then sometimes to do this, it's going to take a lot of effort and time and ongoing mental breakthroughs. There are many, many, many things that we don't know exist about our own programming and our belief systems. And there may be memories and pain that we've blocked out as a protection mechanism for survival. But with the right guidance and asking the right questions, we can dig deep and uncover these things and understand ourselves more and bring into light the things that have been haunting us in the darkness for years and years. And once we can acknowledge and see these things for what they are and where they came from, then we can determine what to do with those things, whether they serve us, whether they don't. And if they do, then we can keep them. If they don't, we can get to work on changing them. I hope you can see how exciting this is and how much more work we have to uncover and to do together on this journey. So I'm so happy that you were able to join me today for this first episode. If this spoke to you, please hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode, and share it with someone who you think could benefit from it also. I'm going to leave you today the way that I plan to leave every episode from here on. Remember today that you are worthy. You matter. You are allowed to take up space in this world, and you are destined to become no one except who you decide to be. So be your programmer.